Okay, so we are going to start talking about a global issue. It's called the unemployment. Well, first of all, what is unemployment? Unemployment is the term of not being able to obtain money by working or not having a job to work. Okay, so unemployment is classified by the United Nations as a big issue because, first of all, what people want to do is when you make an enterprise is to acquire so many workers, a big quantity of workers, but there is also a limit. There will be always a limit. So that's why unemployment is created. For example, in big cities or big countries, also in small countries with a lot of population. For example, right now, the top 5 countries with most unemployment rate around the world is South Africa, Mauritania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and North Macedonia. These countries, as we can see, they are not so big countries. They are kind of small. For example, North Macedonia is one of the smallest countries around Europe, but it has a lot of population. And what do these do? For example, in China's a really big country, but it is also the country with the biggest amount of people around the world. China is suffering right now of overpopulation. So what overpopulation does is unemployment. As we can see, in China there is a lot of enterprises, but there is always a limit. In China there is almost 2 billion of people living there. A quarter and a half of all the entire world is just in China. Also in India, there is almost 1 billion people living in India. And that's why India is suffering of overpopulation. It's the second country with the most index rate of overpopulation around the world. Well, as I say, the top causes of unemployment are increased population, rapid technological change, lack of education or skills, and rising costs. And the top effects are negative increased effects, reduced income, health problems, mental health challenges. As I refer to mental health challenges, is that when you get unemployed, you might think that you are lost, you won't have money. So what does this record did? This leads you to depression. For example, also in Tokyo there is a valley. There is a valley, and in that valley is a forest. So there is a famous forest in Tokyo that is called the Forest of the Suicides. Okay, but why is Forest of Suicide? That forest is so depressive that people with anxiety, depression, everything go there to kill themselves, to suicide. So what happens in Tokyo is that, as I say, there is a lot of people without employment. They recur to suicide because if you are unemployed, you'll think that you won't have money. So you will start getting depressed by trying an effort to obtain again a job. But in Tokyo, sometimes if you don't have a job, an actual job, it's kind of difficult to find another one. Or you will find a really horrible job that you won't like being a concert or being a constructor, something that you won't like. So this can affect a lot of people. That's why people go to suicide in the forest of the suicide. Okay, so that's why mental health challenges can be an effect of unemployment. The statistics show us how unemployment has changed around 2009 and 2019, and around 5.4% of people around the world is unemployed. That means like kind of a 700 million people is unemployed or more. I actually don't know the statistics, but it's a really big number of 5.4% of people unemployed. And these people sometimes they came from poor countries. The majority of them are from Africa. All the country of Africa, there is a lot of poor countries that it is easier to find a job, but the GDP is really lower, so this also doesn't help the unemployment, so the employment rate to increase, so this makes the GDP decrease. Why do GDP decrease? Well, as I say, if you are unemployed, you won't help your job, and if you don't obtain money, you won't have the percentage to pay taxes for government. And if you don't pay taxes, the GDP of the government will decrease, and what will happen is that if the GDP decreases, if you obtain a job, they won't pay you the exact amount they pay us in a few years. For example, as I said, I don't know, if you are unemployed, you won't pay taxes, so as I said, that won't help the country to increase the GDP, so you won't obtain enough quantity of money to maintain your family, or also without money you won't have food or water. So without the goods and services, you cannot live. That's why people commit to suicide. So unemployment can affect the world in a bad way. Because if there is no employment for someone, he or she won't have the right of getting money. So with this issue starts poverty around the country or continent or city, state, whatever it is. It starts the state or country getting poor. Okay, so and if it's a high number of poverty, people will pay low taxes, and this will help the country. This won't help the country to increase the GDP value or to be a rich country as Luxembourg. So yeah, the GDP will decrease. The most affected is the country, government, and the one who takes care about the family. For example, if you're the dad, you will take the care of the family, or if you are the mother, you also will take care of the family. And if you are unemployed, you won't have the money to give food or water or education to your children. Okay, so this can make you feel very bad. That's why people sometimes commit suicides in Japan. Japan is a small country with 120 million people living there. It's almost the same numbers as here in this country, Mexico. But as we know, Mexico is a medium-sized country. It's not so big, but it isn't small. So this helps the country to maintain a good quantity of employees. As we know, Mexico is not an unemployment. Mexico is not. It doesn't have the really big quantity of unemployees. Mexico has a really lower percentage of people unemployed. So this also helps the country to sometimes increase the GDP. Also, as my conclusion, we can see that unemployment is the problem of not being able to work and gain money. It is raised by the popular issue of overpopulation that some big and small countries are facing. There is no place of raising that. That means that every country around the world can face with this problem. In purpose, my expected outcome was correct, as I say that unemployment can create suicides around the world. So to prevent unemployment is something unknown. But in my opinion, what can be done is try to prevent overpopulation by having a maximum of 2 or 3 children per family, and this will help start decreasing the population in a country. So with this starting more job opportunities and start creating more enterprises that can have an estimate of 5,000 employees or more. I don't actually know the numbers, but this can help the country to increase the GDP and the employment rate.